Hey everyone, Kirk Reifels here, freezing with Acura's redesigned TLX super handling all-wheel drive in the A-Spec trim. Acura's claiming this new TLX is the most performance-crafted sedan they've ever created. Of course, we'll test whether that's true or not. We're also going to take a look at the beautiful and muscular exterior design, take a tour of its modern cabin, point out the great and not so great aspects, and test its capabilities in this freezing winter landscape. Can the new TLX live up to Acura's precision crafted performance identity? Let's find out. On the front of the TLX A-Spec, we have a matte black grille. The diamond Pentagon grille is their signature. You can pretty much recognize all the modern Acuras by this really good looking grille. I think they nailed it. Now on the A-Spec, it has a surround of glossy black plastic, which I prefer over the advanced trim, and it's chrome. The daytime running lights are the chicane style, which are doubled in the design on the rear taillights, as we'll find in a little bit. Of course, the quad jewel eye headlights look amazing. The aggressiveness of the front end of this new TLX is striking, and it looks so much better in person than it does in pictures and video, guys. I wish I could share it with you. Now I gotta be careful so I don't slip on this ice, but the side profile of the new TLX is really striking compared to the old edition, or should I say the last edition. Wheelbase has been extended 3.7 inches, and the dash to axle ratio has been increased to give you a beautiful long hood that is extraordinarily striking from the side. These wheels are my favorite wheels for the TLX. These are the 19-inch, and they come with Michelin Primacy All Seasons, which just crushed it in the ice and snow, making its way up to the top of this frozen mountain. And just like I mentioned earlier, we have the chicane rear taillights that mirror the front daytime running lights. My favorite part of the rear end, though, on this A-Spec is this awesome black glossy spoiler. I think it makes this car just look so much sportier than, let's say, the advanced trim. And since we're back here in the trunk, we have about 13 cubic feet of space. The rear seats do fold down, but you have to go to the rear doors, open it up, and then push down the seats. They're not gonna fold down for you. Now, we no longer have a V6 underneath the hood of the TLX. We have an all-new 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 272 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. There is also a ton of room behind this engine for, guess what? The Type S is going to be coming in just a few months, at the time of this review anyways, to give us a turbocharged V6 with 355 horsepower. I think you guys will see in a little bit that this little 2-liter turbo has plenty of grunt to fill the shoes of the old V6. Here on the interior of the 2021 Acura TLX, now on the seats, not only do they look cool with the red and black theme with the ultra suede in the middle, they're also really comfortable, possibly even more comfortable than the MDX I was in, because they hug you a little bit more than the large crossover. Now, aside from the seats, when we're talking about interior design, the dash is so much better than the outgoing model. Soft touch on the top with a nice red stitching. We even have soft touch right over the glove box, soft touch on top of the doors. In terms of glossy black plastic, this only has a little bit around the drive selector and the dynamic mode selector. Now, the steering wheel, to me, I actually prefer over the MDX. This could be because of the A-Spec might have a slightly thicker steering wheel. I do appreciate it. I like the stitching on there. Now, behind the steering wheel, the gauge cluster, we have analog, where in the MDX, it was fully digital. And I don't really have a preference either way, as long as it's executed well and you can read both. And I love that this is a really bright illuminated red. Now, when it comes to infotainment, of course, this has the Acura TrueTouch interface, which I'm getting used to since I've spent the last couple of days, maybe weeks, in Acuras at this point. There is a learning curve. It only took me a couple days to get pretty proficient at it. It still would have been very nice to have a touchscreen option. I know Lexus is going that route to have the touchscreen and the touch interface / mouse, whatever you want to call it. It would be nice to have a combination of the two. Now, this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, it is not wireless like the MDX. You know, the releases were only 6 months apart or so from the TLX to the MDX, but the connectivity isn't on the same level. No Amazon Alexa in here, no wireless CarPlay, no wireless Android Auto. Now, if you want the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay on the screen, you have to plug it in through the armrest, which the space in this armrest is massive. It seems to me more than the MDX that I was in last week. Unfortunately, there's no USB-C, and I brought one cord with me. Luckily, I didn't leave the house, But if you bring a double USB-C, it's not going to connect to your phone because it's USB-A only. So you need a connector that looks like this if you want to connect your Apple CarPlay or an Android Auto. USB-C, we're out of luck on that one. So the A-Spec and the Advance come with heated and ventilated seats and a wireless charger. And with that being said, I think it's time to get in the back seat. Here in the back of the TLX, I wouldn't want to put 3 people back here unless they're non-adults. 3 kids should be able to fit back here just fine. The comfort's good. As you can see, the seat's actually further back than where I sit at 6'1". So if you have someone really tall up front and you have someone pretty tall in the back, you can definitely straddle the seat, assuming someone's not sitting in this middle hump here. When you fold down the armrest, you have cup holders, a nice little storage space here, but no connectivity, which is a huge head scratcher for me. No connectivity even below the vents. You have the vents and you do have a control dial for the flow of the air, but no charging ports back here. And this is supposed to be the little brother of the MDX, which had a plethora of them in the back. So Acura, add that next year. It's not that hard to do. Time for the highlights and lowlights. And just like the MDX, starting with the highs, this has the 27 selectable ambient light settings called Iconic Drive. And while it's kind of a pain, like I mentioned in the MDX review, to get to those light settings, I actually might prefer the light settings in this car better than the MDX. Why is that? The vertical LEDs in the center here at night really pop and allows you to appreciate those LEDs a little bit more. So I've already talked about the steering wheel, but unique to the A-Spec, not only do you get this cool A-Spec badge, but on the A-Spec model, you have a flat bottom steering wheel, you know, so you can race in it a little bit better, faster. And the last highlight comes right above my head. There is a padded sunglasses holder, like industrial grade padding. So if you put your sunglasses up there, not only will they not scratch around, you're not going to hear them moving and shuffling back and forth when they're up there. Now onto the lowlights, and it's not really a fault of the car, it's kind of a fault of Acura and their packaging. It's tough for me to accept a couple of these things that are left out of the A-Spec, which is the second highest trim. Having power folding mirrors would be nice to be standard. Instead, you can only find it on the advanced trim. No heated steering wheel. Again, you see this in much lower priced cars. It's not hard to put a heated steering wheel in here. Could you get it done at the Acura dealership? I hear you can have an accessory installed there, but still, it's a little frustrating to not have heated steering wheel on the second to highest package. Now with the TTI, or the True Touch interface, I'm not going to gripe on it too much. I did that in my RDX review. But yes, still no full screen option nor touchscreen option. That hurts me deep inside. And lastly, the materials in here are universally pretty darn good. However, there's some still scratchy black plastic to be found. It makes me wonder how long this plastic around the volume knob and the TTI is going to hold up. Scratchy black plastic on the back of the seats is just cringy in a car of this class. GoPros, apparently they hate the cold. I lost all my driving footage yesterday because the TLX was just too cold when I started my driving footage. Instead today, we're gonna head outside. We're going to test the TLX in the snow, test out the SH-AWD, the super handling all-wheel drive, and we're gonna have a lot of fun instead. So quick synopsis of my driving impressions in good weather. It was a little bit cold yesterday, but the streets were clear. I got to stretch this car's legs in performance, and it was a lot of fun to drive. Good rear cross traffic alert warning right there. So the engine is an absolute peach. I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't miss the V6 at all. And the reason is, in this car, peak torque hits at 1600 RPM, so there's always a good shove. And it encourages you to wring it out because it hits maximum horsepower at 6,500 RPM. So it's fun not only at low RPMs, but encourages you to push it to its limits at high RPMs. Now the brakes are arguably the highlight of the vehicle for me. They take this same brake system, it's called the Electro Servo brake-by-wire system that's taken from the Acura NSX, and the brakes in here are a complete 180 from the brakes in the MDX that I just test drove. There's tons of bite, there's lots of feedback. It wants you to stop on a dime, and it does so very, very well. So I love the brakes in here. The handling, of course, with the super handling all-wheel drive, it just eats up the corners. It's a lot of fun to drive. It almost feels like a rear-wheel drive car with this 4th generation super handling all-wheel drive, where it can shove a lot of the torque to the rear wheels almost instantly. It's a lot faster than the old system, and it does a really good job with the torque vectoring from one wheel to the other. So handling and accelerating out of corners is an absolute joy in this vehicle. Overall, it's a very comfy and calm, quiet ride. When you're just cruising, it's quiet, it's composed. It is a little bit vibey when you hit potholes, but what do you expect with 19-inch wheels and a performance-tuned suspension with a double wishbone up front and the multi-link in the back? Overall, though, it's a very comfortable ride, and it's definitely up to the part when you want to push it around the corners. Only weakness, I would say, when it comes to performance in this new TLX is the transmission. Now, it's the exact same 10-speed transmission. It's built in-house by Honda that we see in the MDX. In the MDX, I was okay with it because it's not nearly as performance oriented as a vehicle as this vehicle is. So the shifter smoothing nature of this 10-speed automatic transmission was right at home in that MDX. And in this vehicle, I want something that's a little bit more punchy, a little bit more aggressive with the downshifts especially. So if you're pushing this vehicle, you're gonna want a little bit more aggressive transmission overall. But when it comes to just driving, normally this transmission is very smooth, it is enjoyable. So upshifts quick, especially from a stop, but in terms of downshifting, it's a little lethargic. But given the rest of the vehicle is so good in terms of looks, handling, braking, the engine's great, it is something that you can forgive this car for not being perfect in that one realm. Okay, now it's time to test this vehicle's terrible weather performance, snowy weather, low traction, you name it. It's time to put it to the test. This 4th generation super handling all-wheel drive with the ability to split the torque so well between not only the front wheels, but obviously the rear wheels. It can send that torque really quick to those rear wheels. And it's just so easy, like the MDX. I'm gonna come to a full stop here. Again, all season tires and just gently onto the throttle. I'm getting no wheel spin right now. And it's just super easy to get around. As long as you understand the limitations of traction in environments like this, this vehicle is going to be just fine. Its only downfall will be that the ground clearance is not great, being that it's a performance sedan. I'd say I wouldn't want to, travel in more than 5 inches of snow in this vehicle. If you're going to be doing that regularly, check out the MDX. It'll do just fine in the snow with I think it's got like a 9-inch ground clearance. I'll put what this vehicle's ground clearance is as I'm talking about it. In terms of braking though, in the winter time, this vehicle brakes a lot better than the MDX. It weighs roughly 500 pounds less, so it comes to a stop much easier. And I'm going to get hard on the brakes here with the stop sign and brake, slam on the brakes, and it easily came to a stop. I was probably going about 25 there. Easily came to a stop, no problem, even with all season tires. I like this hill here for a little bit of testing. So let's just hit the gas a little bit out of the corner, getting a little bit of spin off the gas. And I'm pushing it way harder than I normally would just to test the vehicle. And here we go downhill with the brakes, going about 20 miles an hour, gently onto the brakes, and it's easily coming to a stop. Again, as long as you understand the rules of snow and the reduced traction you get, this super handling all-wheel drive system does the rest for you. Like I said, the brakes are incredible in this vehicle. Okay, I think this is a good intersection to get a little fishtail on it. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit of acceleration into this turn here. It was fun. And yeah, I don't recommend doing that in the snow with too much throttle. You will definitely go completely, what would that be, 180 degrees? You guys know, it wouldn't be the direction I would be wanting to point. But yes, a little bit is okay here and there. And we'll do that again. As long as there's no cars around this turn, we're going to just hit the gas a little bit, have a little fun accelerating into this street. A little tiny bit of wheel spin on the back wheel. It definitely feels like a rear wheel driven car when you're in the turns in this vehicle, just because the super handling all-wheel drive can send so much that torque and power to the rear wheels. And since I need to get home safely and just remove myself from doing anything too stupid, I'm gonna finish up this review. Acura's aligning themselves as a performance brand, and this TLX definitely looks the part. It looks incredible, very aggressive front to back. It handles like a performance car. The engine is a performance engine. I know 270 horsepower isn't earth-shattering by any means. The torque's always there. The engine loves to rev. I think it's a great engine. I'm thoroughly in love with it. The brakes derived from the NSX are phenomenal. The handling, the all-wheel drive, I could go on and on about that. The one Achilles heel, other than the packaging, that's not the car's fault, it's Acura's fault on the packaging. No heated steering wheel, no windshield wiper de-icer in the A-Spec, things like that. But I would say it's Achilles heel if it has one, and it's not that big of a drawback, is the 10-speed automatic transmission. The average person it's gonna be just fine for, but no car is perfect, and if you can get over the good but not great transmission, then this vehicle should definitely be on your shopping list. Acura's done a great job with it. And guys, I'll see you in the comments. Like I said, I better get home safe to my wife and kids. I've really enjoyed not only the MDX, but of course this TLX. They've been absolute gems to see Acura turn the boat around. Guys, I'll see you in the comments. Feel free to ask me any questions about the new TLX. Let's do a little, get the rear end out again. Well, just a little bit. I'll see you guys in the comments. If you made this far in the video, smash the like button, subscribe for more Japanese and Korean auto reviews, as well as news. I cover a ton of news on the channel. And guys, I'm gonna head up this long hill back up to my house. And yeah, of course, the super handling all-wheel drive is gonna make short work of it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll finish talking and let you guys watch the remainder of me driving home in these delicious conditions, at least for the super handling all-wheel drive.